Mr. Hanky Goes to Washington, a modern legend. He was always so happy, and he made others happy. He seemed to radiate a lively warmth that made others feel better and lighter after he had left. If you're of a certain age, you may not have heard of him, but I'll bet your kids and grandkids have. Trey Parker, creator of the wildly popular animated TV series South Park, introduced him a couple years ago, and kids took to him enthusiastically and immediately. His name, Mr. Hanky, Bawal Mustafa Hanky. Long, well-proportioned and deeply tanned, Bawal, or BM as some of his friends call him, seemed to bring joy whenever he appeared. Kids seemed fascinated with him, often to the discomfort of their parents. Especially after he was featured in South Park, kids and teens and college kids couldn't get enough of him. Believe it or not, toy stores and online toy websites still offer large toys in his likeness today. Pranksters would buy these toys and leave them in chairs where they knew girls would sit down on them. Much to the embarrassment of the girls and delight of the guys, Mr. Hanky never minded or disappointed. His story might have ended there. With our hero just a passing fancy, or a fancy passing, Mr. Hanky was just at the beginning of an amazing journey. Encouraged by his unexpected popularity and funded by an unnamed source, Mr. Hanky enrolled in college. He signed up for courses taught by professors who were perfectly attuned to his mental capacity and physical makeup. They instilled in him a political concept that, while odious to most Americans, might suggest a bright future in government. And astoundingly, before most of the country knew what was happening, B.M. Hanky became a state senator, U.S. senator, and president of the United States. A massive Bawal movement was unleashed on the internet. Young people by the millions who had come to love Mr. Hanky contributed millions to his short, impacted campaigns. And a mesmerized media succumbed to Hanky mania, as if they had been gassed. And a stunned nation was treated to the sight of a Hanky plopped in the Oval Office. Naturally, being the first of his peculiar composition and background to being the leader of the free world, B.M. made colossal and disastrous mistakes. Flushed with hubris, he loaded piles and piles of hideous debts on the people who had elected him, appointed czars and sycophants who swarmed around him like barnflies and dung beetles, and forced a Congress a monstrous health bill that was so stench-filled that it took almost 4,000 pieces of paper to contain it. In less than a year, Americans were being repelled by the odors coming from the White House, and they were realizing a terrible mistake had been made. The turning point came when Hanky's paternal grandmother revealed he hadn't dropped in the United States, but in Kenya. "I helped deliver the little stinker myself," she declared, and her claim has not been disproved. He wasn't constitutionally eligible to be president. His most loyal supporters washed their hands of BM. With his disapproval ratings approaching 90%, a few diehard of peculiar tastes still clung to him. He was extruded from the Oval Office and flown back to Chicago in a sanitarium plane. To nobody's surprise, he was given a lifetime professorship at the University of Chicago and set for life in the newly endowed B.M. Hanky Chair of Progressive Political Excrement, and there he will remain, hoping for a new national Bawal movement to wash across the country, God forbid.